how your body tells you the truth of what's really going on before your brain can actually catch up to see, to sense, to become aware of what's going on? I know this happens to me all the time. It's the tight jaw that I start to ignore, my shoulders that never quite drop, my breath that stays super shallow even when I'm having a good day. That isn't me being dramatic. That's the nervous system that's asking to be led back into safety. Does this sound familiar to you? Does this happen to you too? Because this is incredibly common. And this is so common when it comes to trauma, when it comes to triggers, when it comes to emotions that we bury down. Our bodies hold all of that in, and it starts to speak to us in very silent ways. Today, I'm sitting with Angela Jean, once a runaway, now a resilience architect. After losing her father and sister to suicide as a teen, she's learned the body's language of survival: silence, hypervigilance, trapped fear. She recognizes it all, and when it starts to come out, she alchemizes it. She alchemizes it into a practice of rhythm and micro movements and nervous system wisdom. Her mantra is simple and powerful: you are who you train to be. Angela helps people stop performing healing and start actually embodying it, one breath, one heartbeat at a time. And by the end of our conversation, you're going to have a really clean, tangible way to feel where your energy is stuck and a tiny, doable reset to help it flow. I don't want to give away any secrets. I'm going to let Angela take you through all of this. Now, if you like tactile anchoring in while you're retraining your system and you're getting back to your homeostasis, your baseline, my pieces over at BEU Crystals are designed exactly for that. You can find pieces to help you ground, to help invite more self-trust, to help open up you and soften your heart, and to also bring clarity to your day. Choose one intention, one piece, one ritual, and you can browse all this over at beucrystals.com. Now, I will tell you, I do not have a ton over there right at the moment because I'm in the process of completely revamping the website and revamping some of my content there. But if there is something you're looking for and you can't find it there, make sure you reach on out to me. And if you are near a live event, you will definitely see a lot more out at live shows. Regardless, head down into the show notes and click the link for beucrystals.com. You can go on over and check out what I do have available online at this time. Okay, let's sink into this conversation. Take one hand, put it on your heart. One hand, put it on your belly. Inhale, nice and deep. Exhale out, letting your entire body, your shoulders drop and just relax. Here's the conversation with Angela Jean. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Energy Fix podcast, Angela. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
You know, first off, you have just this electric energy, just this magneticism that exudes off of you. I noticed it as soon as we even jumped on to talk and to chat and to interview today. And so I'm so curious. Is there a word or a phrase that you're really embodying right now in this season of your life that feels like it is of the utmost importance for you to move forward with and to really emulate?
1000% there is. Yeah. And it's what I say to everybody. And it's very simple. When one rises, we all rise. And it literally is just meaning be responsible for the energy that you bring into the world, because it is a domino effect on every single person that crosses your path.
Mm. Okay. And so I'm curious. First off, I love that. I'm curious, how do you personally hold space to help other people rise?
I maintain, well, that's the thing. I have a lot of methods in place, and I think it's very important in the world we're living in that you have systems in place. You have a way to transform your energy, to harness your energy, to move your energy so that you're not filled with emotional sludge, which makes you anxious, depressed, snappy, and that you also have a system in place to redirect your negative thought patterns. It's really important that you have systems in place, which I do, and I do them daily. This is a lifestyle, it's never ending. I have a system that I do in the morning. I have a system that I do if someone annoys me. I have a system that I do if I feel my body tightening. It's a constant training, and I live by this. I don't just teach it, like I walk the walk, and that's why my energy is good.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I really take the time for myself in the moment of emotional charge to harness that energy, to redirect it, to neutralize it, to bring myself back to baseline so that I don't make it someone else's problem.
Mm. And so, first off, that's beautiful. And but really, what I was thinking about when you were saying that was so many people are dysregulated in their nervous system, dysregulated in their foundation and their root because of all of these traumatic experiences that maybe one has experienced over life, but even just the everyday triggers. And so I love that you have all of these systems in place, almost like you're doing somatic healing for your nervous system
Oh, yeah.
every day.
Every hour.
Yeah.
I tell you, listen, here's the deal. Yeah, we're living in a world that's making us all feel very unsafe. That's beyond our intimate relationships and just our jobs. I mean, with AI approaching, like with war, with everything, whether it's politics, nobody feels safe right now. So I think majority of the world is locked up. It is constant training. Every time you feel that gripping happening, you have got to like literally stop and take that moment for yourself. I do it every time I feel the gripping. Don't let the cycle complete itself, because the minute it does, it's literally like walls up, swords up. You're safe, but you are stuck. And usually you're stuck in something that doesn't feel good. You're hurting, you're aching, you're suffering. So anytime, it doesn't matter if I'm sitting in traffic and I feel my system starting to tighten, what it means is something is signaling danger and it's getting ready to lock up. It's doing its job to protect you. You have to stop it in that moment. I don't care where I am. I will literally stop like a baby. Literally, I do that. And I will rock. I will take it right, left, and literally just tell my system, it's okay. It's okay. Just like a pendulum. You guys, it takes seconds. You have to reparent your nervous system. You have to send a signal of safety. And that's what this sway does. Just for a moment. You know what I mean? And I really have been doing that consistently. It is a game changer. I even feel soothed right now. The thing is, when you start training it, you'll just be able to drop in so fast because your body starts to remember, oh yeah, that's what safety feels like. And safety actually starts becoming more familiar than the tension.
Mm. And
But it really,
so,
sorry, go ahead.
oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm just saying it really is like anything. It's really like any exercise. It's like going to the gym, want to build a booty, literally constant training.
Yeah. Wow. And so I love this. We have many neurodivergent and ADHD listeners on this podcast, on this show. And as soon as you talked about that, all I could think about was the self-soothing that neurodivergent brains do, the rocking, the stimulation, the hugging of something soft, holding on to something that is going to soothe the nervous system. And literally, that is exactly what you're doing. You are soothing yourself back in to being a solid root in your space.
Yeah, and the key is to not move until you feel safe, until you feel that full body. Yes, don't rush it because rushing signals danger. Literally, you have to slow down. It's interesting, even if you think of people in mental wards, like they're rocking. The body is innately trying to do what it's supposed to do, obviously, but then you're battling the mind as well. But we innately are healers. You know, we have everything within us. It's just we have forgotten, you know what I mean? That we have all these tools within us. So, yeah, it's a matter of just do not move until you feel the release.
Mm,
Like you are putting yourself in a self-induced trance, you know?
yeah.
Mhm.
And so you are so connected to your body and you have such an interesting background. let's expand onto that. Angela, your story is one of breathtaking resilience, re-
Yeah.
really
Oh my
reclaiming your
God.
power. Yeah. And so let's start there. At
Okay.
13, at 13, life handed you trauma inside of a textbook. And so when you look back now, what do you think that your body knew? What do you think your body knew before your mind could even make sense of it? And what
Gosh.
did you learn on your journey? How did you expand?
My body never felt safe because the reason why I left home at 13 is because I was dealing with physical abuse and sexual abuse. So I actually never felt safe inside my body and I was always running. I was literally running all through my 30s. You just don't even realize that you're running. You're running out of relationships. You're running. You just keep running because you don't know how to stay in your body because your body doesn't feel safe. I'm sorry, what did you ask me? Sorry, I get a little like, woof.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Childhood stuff is tough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
you know,
I was curious what your body, now that you're so aware and you're so connected, what
yeah.
was your body telling you that maybe your mind had no clue that it was being like a red flag, like a firing signal the whole time?
Yeah, no, I mean exactly that. Our bodies know. My body knew everything was danger. Everything was danger. Everything was danger. My childhood was danger. I ran away at 13 living on the streets. That was danger. Men were danger. To me, everything was danger. Love was dangerous. Money was dangerous. Like there was no peace, which is why after the domino effect of suicides in my family, I was just like, I am done. And I just kind of got into this mindset like nothing is effing taking me down. I am not going to end up like them. And that's when I got so passionate about how to redirect negative thought patterns, how to harness the energy, how to transform the energy, how to move the energy. I just needed to figure out how to feel safe in my body, how to feel good in my body, how to get out of my mind that was so toxic. You know what I mean? Because it will take you down. I have seen suicide after suicide. What happens when you do not have systems in place? Life will take you down. We are vessels. We have got to learn to move the energy. We cannot be filled with emotional sludge.
And so that must have been really hard. I mean, you were at a low, low. You were on the streets. You were stuck in this place of mindset that was a mindset that was just so I don't know if toxic is the right word, but we're just going to use that for lack of better words, right?
For
Like
sure.
you were at this low. How did you turn around? I know you said about the suicides were a big trigger for you and you said no more, but even when you are at that low, how did you, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, how
Really.
did you get out of it?
Literally, what's interesting is I just got so sick of being what I saw myself as, which was a victim. I got so sick of victim mode that something just happened. And, I really think that's what a spiritual awakening is. My higher self just finally said, get up off the floor. You know what I mean? And I just had this moment where I was just done being a victim and I made everything my fault, every single thing my fault, because then I felt like I had some power back. And then I was like, okay, if everything is my fault, then why did you allow this? And that question changed everything for me. It shifted my entire perception of waiting for people to apologize, wondering why this happened to me and why this happened to me. And all I do is love, all I do is give. And I'm just, we all know how we feel when we're in victim mindset. And I was like, no, this is my fault. Why did you allow that? Because I want to feel loved. Why don't you feel loved? Because I never was. Why? And it's that constant why where you start dissecting and you get to the root of what made you feel the way you feel about yourself. And then you slowly start building your way out. And that's when I knew I just lacked self-love. And I thought I loved myself. I loved my job. I'm in shape. I had good friends. I loved what I did for a living. So I'm like, I love myself. How can I not love myself? Look at my life. If you love yourself specifically by the way you let your intimate partners treat you. And that was a magnifier. And I thought to myself, holy shit, I don't love myself. How do I love myself? And I really started cultivating a self-love practice. I isolated myself. I started doing everything I wanted to do instead of waiting for a plus one. I took myself to dinner, to places that were romantic. And I sat and I watched people that were together. I watched couples because I was so envious of couples and families at that point. And I would watch them sit next to each other, and no one was talking to each other, and no one was acknowledging each other. And that's when I really started transforming on the inside. And I said, okay, because I was feeling so lonely at the time. I'm like, loneliness has nothing to do with whether or not someone's sitting next to you. Because I feel like even though I'm seeing people sitting together, no one's connecting. So that's when I knew that loneliness literally is a disconnection from self. And that's when I really started stepping into my power. And I knew it doesn't matter if someone's sitting by my side. That's not what connection is. It starts with connection with yourself. I started cooking for myself, and not just any cooking. I would light candles. I would play music. I fully just fell in love with myself and romanced myself. And I did everything I wanted to do that I would normally do for someone else. Like overgivers, we do everything for the other person, but we don't do it for ourselves. So I pretended like that person was there, and I just did it for myself. And it literally changed my life.
Hmm. And so you've talked about consistency and you talked about exactly what you just said, literally training yourself to be the person that you wanted to be, your future optimal self. You're training yourself. And so the advice that you just gave, the scenario that you just gave, is that the same for somebody who feels like they're stuck in survival mode and feel like they're constantly reacting versus choosing the life that they want or the way of being, that person who feels like I don't have a choice? Would that be the same kind of shifting that you would recommend, or do you have something else to say to that?
I really have refined everything I've learned into like, the one method, which is nervous system training and then self-concept training. If your nervous system isn't unlocked, it will sabotage the you that you're trying to become. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't recognize that girl. It doesn't recognize the confident girl. So it will sabotage that situation. So I focus heavily on nervous system training, self-concept training. Your nervous system decides what you get to keep, and your self-concept, which is your identity, decides if this is possible for you. It's the naysayer in your head that says, yeah, right, that ain't happening for you. That voice matters.
Mm, yeah, yeah. Self-confidence is your identity. I just wrote that down. I think that's really interesting.
Concept.
Oh,
Yeah.
concept. Sorry, I thought you said self-confidence. Self-concept is your identity. And so getting to know your identity, getting to know that self-concept, why is that so important?
Well, you have to build a new self-concept because right now you're living in the smaller self, the one that was abandoned, the one that was betrayed, the one that is the victim. So when you're building your new self-concept, it's the one that gets it all. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's the one that walks like, it deserves everything. So you literally have to train that state of being. I fully believe in self-concept training versus therapy because I think I'm not against therapy. This is just what worked for me. Therapy, we're regurgitating the pain. We're reliving the pain. I don't see that as an exit. For me, it was focusing on the me I wanted to be. And that's what self-concept training does. But it has to be done in doses. This is why I focus on micro resets, you guys, because when your nervous system is locked in survival, it's going to block anything you are trying to do, expansion, love, money, success, because that's not important when you're locked up in survival. That's why I like focusing on micro resets of whatever you're doing. Little 2-minute exercises, 2-minute exercises every hour. What you're doing, you're familiarizing your mind, body, and nervous system with this thing. And eventually that thing becomes familiar. So it's not a stranger trying to break into your house, right? It becomes a friend. And eventually the transformation will root and it can grow from there. I don't know if that really makes sense to you, but you have to introduce change slowly.
Mhm. It does. And especially when your nervous system is already overtaxed and you're already feeling overwhelmed, those micro resets are going to make a huge difference in what you're able to, number one, handle, but also number two, be able to stick with because you've said many times now consistency is so important and that constant training.
Yeah. And the old you calls bullshit on the new you.
Right. Yeah.
Old you's like, we suck. The new you's like, no, we rock. And it's like this debate. So it actually creates more harm than good because you're out of coherence. Everything has to be pointing in the same direction for you to transform.
Yeah.
you know, it's like a husband and wife. Like you guys got to get on the same team, you know.
Yeah.
Wife needs to have an idea and husband needs to be like, okay, this is the plan, let's do it. Versus how are we going to afford that? That's not going to work. You know what I mean? That's why no one has any movement because everything is debating. The mind,
Yeah.
the body's debating. The body doesn't, it's like constant.
Well, okay, so let's expand a little bit into that because I am sure that not everybody realizes they're out of alignment. Not everybody realizes that they're at a place where something has to change or that there is even potential of better things in their life, better versions of themselves. And so I would love to talk about maybe some of the signs, especially physical ones, but some of the signs that someone's energetic system is out of alignment. And could use an upgrade.
Clear signs that your energetic system is out of alignment is anxiety, depression, confusion. End of story. If you don't know what to do, you don't know where to go, you don't know how to get there, you're blocked. Your energy is not in flow because when your energy is in flow, you get ideas, you have clarity, you have confidence, period. If you don't deal with your emotions, you suppress them, you are creating emotional sludge. It gets blocked in your meridian points, which is why you don't feel good about yourself, which is why you don't feel good in general, which is why you don't have clarity on anything you want to do. Everything is confusion. You're indecisive. You know what I mean? Because there is no clear signal. Everything is debating because everything is stuck. You guys, we are a vessel, whether we realize it or not. Our bodies are a vessel for this human experience. It's no different than a car going on a long road trip. What do you got to do? Maintain the thing, right? New tires, new oil change, new coolant, you know? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah. So, and that makes complete sense. The confusion, anxiety, depression, feeling like you're frustrated, all of those heavier emotions. And so when they start to come in, here's a big $1 million question though for you, Angela.
yep, yep.
Listen, you've said it already. We live in this world that there's just so much chaos and rushing, like this expectation, especially here in the States, this expectation of just push, 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 do, overwhelm, overdo. And so when we live in societies or cultures that really emulate that, that push that honor that, but we know that these subtle cues are coming in and these body cues are telling us we need something different. How do we shift that and stop dismissing them as a weakness?
Exactly. So this is why okay, becoming aware of these patterns is step one. You have to interrupt the pattern before the loop completes itself. Meaning, the minute you have an emotional charge and you're aware of it, you guys, that is the moment to interrupt the pattern. I do this by clapping my hands super hard, rubbing them together, and going like this with the energy. Because if you're angry, if you're depressed, if whatever you are feeling, that energy is ripe and so ready to be transformed. And when you know what you don't want and you're angry about something, we all know in the moment that you know what you don't want, you know exactly what you do want. That is the moment you have to harness that energy and command, no, we are going this way. And if you clap and you rub your hands together and you separate it, you have that energy. Close your eyes and say what you want. Speak your unmet need into this energy ball and just play with it until it diffuses. And you have transformed that energy. The minute you catch the loop, you are back in the power seat, and that's your moment. You keep training these moments. You keep training these moments. And I'm telling you, when you start realizing how much power you have to harness the energy and redirect the momentum of your mind, things start to change
Mm.
because you think to yourself, okay, I got this. I have this system, and you'll feel it work. Like when you clap and you rub your hands together and you just speak your unmet need into that energy, you feel a release. You can't not.
It also feels like you would feel your inner power too, and that inner possibility starting to rise up because you're physically bringing your mental and emotional body, energetic body into this place of feeling the physicality of it.
1000%. You are claiming your inner
Yeah.
authority, your life. You demand, you command. No, stop the thought pattern. No, we are going that way. Love is that way. Success is that way. Everything I want is that way. I'm done. Like you really have to be tough. You know, how bad do you want it? You're going to fight someone. So you might as well fight for yourself. That's really how I think. Like you want to keep fighting everyone in the external world or just turn the focus inward. Fight your, no, we are going this way.
Yeah.
You have to claim that inner authority and give a shit about yourself. You know?
Yeah, yeah. And so, okay, so Angela, when you were on your journey and you started to become more aware,
Oh,
what
yeah.
was one subtle body cue that you used to ignore that was actually your biggest SOS signal?
All of it. I had a big problem with anger. You know, I got into a lot of physical fights, unfortunately, when I was in my 20s and even unfortunately into the beginning of my 30s. And I was like, oh my God, enough is enough. But what I did realize is that there was so much power and anger. Fortunately for me, I've always been very obsessed with research and studying. And for some reason, I was so angry, I was convinced I was powerful, right? I was like, oh, I'm powerful. No one's taking me down. I'm so tough. And then when I started studying, believe it or not, like royalty and kings and queens throughout history, anger is not power. It's being able to harness the power and redirect it with strategy, not with emotion. And because I got so fascinated with being powerful, because I thought it was, it kind of just started allowing me to interpret my anger as power. But how do I use it and redirect it instead of getting into like a fist fight? Like, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, it's so embarrassing to even admit, but it is what it is. So just learning that anger is power, our emotions are power, not to be embarrassed of the fact if you're someone that struggles with depression, anger, anxiety, because the fact that you're able to feel your emotions is step one. Some people are numb and they can't. So if you guys are able to feel that pain, that anger, let it rise. Let it rise, let it burn, and just learn to harness. You know, you have to teach this, you have to train this into yourself. It's power. So start looking at your emotional instability, whatever you want to call it, as power, 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 power. You just have to learn to train it. No different than training a little doggy. You know what I mean? Like, nope, we're going this way. Nope, we're going this way. Nope, we're going this way.
Yeah. So how did you personally redirect your anger? How did you alchemize it?
Believe it or not, yoga, it kind of, my higher self just pulled me to yoga. I wasn't interested, but it captured me. It's the first place I ever cried in like 2 years after all the suicides in my family. I just numbed out and it just captured me. You know, learning to breathe is how I started to learn to harness and redirect my energy. I really learned the power of breath, you know, and I don't know how we ignore the power of breath. It's what brings us into this world and it's what takes us out of this world. So, how is it not a life force that we should be focusing on? Breath is everything.
Which goes right back to what you talked about in the very beginning about the rhythm and the rocking, and how powerful that is. And I'd love to talk a little deeper about that specifically. Why is rhythm so powerful in healing? That could be the breath work, the rhythm of the breath work, the rhythm of your physical body rocking, whatever other kind of micro movements that you suggest. Why is it so powerful for healing? What is it doing?
Rhythm is the most powerful thing you can learn because it signals safety. You guys, everything we want is on the other side of feeling safe. It signals safety. Well, why? Because it's predictable. It's a predictable pattern. Your body and mind knows what's coming next because you're in a rhythm. The more things that you can sync together, the more powerful the transformation is with if you're trying to, I don't know, feel confident, feel loved, whatever it is you're working on. The more things you can sync together, meaning, okay, so you start to rock. Don't rush to layer things in though, because the minute you're not in sync, you're sending a scattered signal, you're stressing your body. So if you can rock, just rock. If you can add an inhale when you're going right, an exhale when you're going left, great. That's 2 layers. Your body is loving this. Your system is like, yeah. You just always want to search for that full body yes. Like literally, if you think of an orgasm, everything's a full body yes. Like not to go there, but literally. But the minute if you have a problem syncing, don't force yourself. It will come. Do one rhythm. I'm like at a point where I can do everything, but I have a dance background too. So for me, rhythm's really good, but it's not easy for everybody else. So don't force yourself, you guys. So just one rhythm. It's a signal of safety.
And so rhythm and movement really help to move energy, which is why I've always talked about, even in my own coaching, why dance and just allowing your body to have that rhythmic movement is so powerful for releasing energy and unblocking. So I'd love to talk about these energy blocks because essentially the breath, right?
Yeah.
Moving the body, rhythm is all releasing energy that's
Yep.
getting blocked. When most people think about energy blocks, they typically think about the chakras or maybe crystals or, something that is more of this typical energy work. But your approach is super body based. And so
Yeah.
I'd love to talk about what actually happens in the body when an emotion it gets stuck and how do we start gently unwinding that according to your approach and the way that you like to work with it.
For me, like I said, all the modalities I made for myself. So for me, it had to be fun. Obviously, I know the meridian point massages, I know all the technical stuff we could do, blah, blah. Like, I wanted to make it fun. Yes, I use the body to train the mind, but I do it with music and I do it with my rhythmic affirmations. So, a somatic movement, we all know, like, there's a somatic movement where we shake, right? We shake and you look like a retard. A lot of people are like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So, like, I will suggest within one of my self-concept audios, because they're all like pop tracks, they're all rhythmic pop tracks, that you just go like this and you make it more of a dance. You know what I mean? Because you're still doing the same thing, rotating your hips. Like you can do it somatically where you look boring, or you could just make it fun. The whole point is just train the body. Don't complicate it. Don't get so scientific on it. Rolling the hips, shaking the upper body, touching the chest, opening your arms. Like I work with movements that are very effective, but they don't look so scientific and something someone's going to be embarrassed to do. I make sure that everything is effective scientifically. I don't necessarily explain that. I like to simplify it for people, but what I am instructing them to do is definitely opening up a chakra. It's definitely signaling to the body. Like I'll have them step forward, because when you step forward, when you say an affirmation, it's telling your body, this is who I am now. Anytime you step forward. So my movements, like I said, are very strategic based on what I'm working on. If I'm working with someone that has a problem, holding and receiving love, they'll most likely just do gentle sways and just holding the chest. These aren't complicated movements. Again, signaling safety while you touch your heart, you know? Um, so it's movements like that that really do move the energy without confusing the person, because I've been guilty of getting very technical and I just lose people. You know, they're just like, I don't get it.
Yeah, yeah. And as you were talking, I kept thinking you said about freeze. You mentioned the word freeze multiple times today so far. And that it resonates with me, especially if we're talking about neurodivergent brains or ADHD brains. That freeze mode is very, very common. And so it's very common for anybody who gets into that overwhelmed state. But I want to talk a little bit about this. And I'm going to open up this question with just a little story on my end. And I would love to hear then your reflection.
Okay.
And so at one point, not too long ago, I got into this place of extreme burnout. I had so much in my life that was chaotic. There was family stuff, work stuff, personal stuff. I mean, it was expansive, but to the point where I just kept trying to say, yes, I can do this. Yes, I got this. Don't worry, no problem. And I didn't have those boundaries set. My nervous system went to hell in a handbag. And I will tell you, the burnout, I didn't even know it was coming on. I suspected I was probably there, but I knew 1,000,000% that I was at burnout when I was standing in my living room one night and I literally couldn't move. I couldn't move. My physical body froze.
Yeah.
And so I ended up getting down onto the ground and I laid there and I'm like, I literally, I can't move. I can't move. I can't move. And so as I allowed myself just to breathe and just to be in that space and allow myself to calm down, and I was eventually able to get back to bed. I went to bed, slept it off. In the morning, my body started to come back online. And when my body started to come back online, you know what it did? It started to shake and it
Oh,
started to have rhythmic movement. And I
mm.
started crying and just sobbing. I had to take that entire day to just allow myself to get back down into my body and into the space and feel calm again. And so I share this story because I want to talk about that freeze moment, either something big like I experienced, or even the micro freezes when people experience in everyday activities that disassociation, that disconnection, maybe feeling like healing is out of reach, like you don't know how to keep moving forward. Angela, what is the first invitation you would
Mhm.
offer to help somebody really come back into their body and into a sense of flow again? And not like I did, by just allowing my body to shake and respond the way that it did, because I didn't know how to bring myself back out of it.
Let me tell you something. That shaking, though, that is 200,000 years of primal coding. Your body was doing exactly what animals do in the wild when they have like escaped a lion that's chasing them. You will see them shake vigorously because what's happening is in the shaking, it's completing the stress cycle. It's sending that signal, we're safe, we didn't die, we made it. So your body, the fact that it did that on its own, literally, I just think that that's so powerful and primal and amazing. But let me say something, you guys. In regards to your story, when you are overgiving and people pleasing and not holding boundaries and never saying no, it's because you are locked in a survival setting that somehow interpreted somewhere along the line that if you don't give, you don't get love. If you don't give, you're not safe. You know, there's something along the line that made you believe that you have to give it all, or else you're going to be left out. You're not going to be loved. You're not going to be held. You're not going to be safe. So it's really circling back and just coming home to yourself. And that all, like I say, comes back to the nervous system training. If I was going to have someone begin, I would have them do exactly what I do every single day. The minute I wake up, before the energy of the world touches me, like Joe Dispenza says, don't touch your phone. Do not let the energy of the world touch you. Hand on your heart, hand on your stomach, and just claim who you are in this space. Who are you in this world? You have to know what you're working on. Everyone's path is different. Are you trying to feel loved? Do you want to feel successful? Do you want to feel safe? Whatever it is, you have to have something in place, you guys. You have to know what you're working on. You hold your hand on your heart. You hold your hand on your on your stomach, and you say, whatever it is, let's just say, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. And just hold that. The minute you stand up, the minute your feet hit the floor, I do a nervous system reset. Step forward, inhale, exhale, same affirmation. I am safe. You stand there, you rock right to left. Again, this is so easy, you guys. It takes seconds. You repeat that 3 times. That is the doorway. And I know people want to complicate healing. That is step 1. Know what you're working on. Before the energy of the world hits you, declare who you are. You have to redirect your life. It's small steps. You know, you start small and you build. I always say, stay in step 1. That's where the power is, the momentum, the magic.
And would you say that that's a micro move that's a non-negotiable for you when maybe freeze hits, or when you feel like you need to move yourself past that? Or is there any other micro moves specifically that you think are really great for that?
The other micro move I do is like if I don't know if I experience freeze, but I deal with more of the mental spiral. I jump. I do a baby jump. Baby jump. Just shake. Just don't let the like I again, you guys, we cannot let these loops complete themselves. Whether that's the tightening, whether that's the thought pattern, you have to jump, like get into your body and out of your mind. Baby jump, declare, I am safe. Jump, I am safe. Jump, I am safe. Like, sit with yourself until you can feel yourself recalibrate. Don't rush through this. The problem is like, oh, that didn't work. Forget it. Oh, I'm going to go make my coffee. No, do it until you believe you're safe. You're safe. Slow down. It's okay. Slow, slow. Like literally like a baby, you guys. You have to reparent your nervous system. You have all of the tools you need. We are the healers. You just have to, like I say, you have to give yourself the time and space. Don't rush. If it's not working because you need more time, you are stuck. Get unstuck. Do not move. Sit with yourself. Make sure you feel safe. Make sure you take that breath. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes I have to jump really high and hit the floor. Like I'm rough on myself because for me, until I calibrate, I won't move on to the next thing. I don't stay task driven anymore because I understand the repercussions of your mental health when you do that.
Mm.
Like look at like what happened to you.
I I love that micro move. I love that. And so really, when you're in freeze and it feels like you can't even do anything, that jump is initiating the movement, is telling your brain you can move. And then you're using that mindset, those words, the shifting in the neural pathways to
Mhm.
change into a movement mentally and emotionally.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that we focus on one thing. Like I still say that I am chosen because I feel like everything in my life triggers my abandonment wound from all the suicides. So I really stay focused on that because whether it's chosen by clients, whether it's chosen by my friends, chosen in love, just that's what works for me. I'm very focused on I am chosen. So it's important that you know what your wound is so that you can speak to it and
Yeah.
don't complicate it. The mind likes clarity, minimal words, not these novels. I am chosen because you know what that means. You know your wound. You know what you need. So I do that every day. I do the baby jump and it's always, I am chosen. I am chosen. And if I want to elaborate a little bit, I will, but I don't force conversation. The nervous system doesn't need a story. It just needs the signal, I am chosen. It's okay. I'm chosen.
And so the experience that you've had with all of the suicides in your life, there's a lot of survival energy there. And survival energy can be such a powerful force,
Hmm.
but but it's also not sustainable when you're really stuck in that survival energy, right? And so how do we transform that raw, reactive energy into creative energy that actually builds our life instead of keeping us small? You may still be doing micro movements and working on all of this, but like the actual shifting into re restructuring, reharnessing, alchemizing it into that creative energy. I would love to talk about that and how to expand that.
For me, like I always say, the answer lies in it's your own expansion and growth. Like, yeah, you do your micro resets. Yeah, you do that. But as you start to clear the blocked energy, things will start to surface, whether that's a story, whether that's a new issue, whether it's a new thing you didn't know was still there. And as these stories surface, you're able to talk to them. And because you're a different version of yourself, you're able to interpret it in a different light. Like I was able to forgive every abuser I ever had, the more I expanded spiritually, the more I learned about other people's struggles, whether that's alcohol, drug addiction, their own mental health issues. I really found majority of my doorways, which turned into energy and just like I say, like passion through learning and through understanding other people. Like, why did this person do this to me? Like, what you know about them, take what you know. Are they an alcoholic? Were they raised by what? And it's really just true, trying to understand the other person where you release the anger, the resentment towards them. And it really does expand you spiritually. And again, like I say, it's that conscious collective. When one rises, we all rise. When you're able to release that white knuckle grip of anger that you have for them, it really does, you'll feel the expansion and growth within your own vessel. And then you're able to extend people grace. And then when you move forward in life with this information, with this understanding, you'll meet someone that's an idiot that day. And you're like, they're not on my level of consciousness. You don't engage with them. You don't give them angry energy. Because, like I said, that's a domino effect. You absorb it, you move in the other direction. You know what I mean? You stop engaging, you stop being reactive, and you just understand to extend them grace. They're not there yet. You're a few steps ahead of them. Don't try to convince them because then you're leaking energy. Hold the energy for your own expansion and growth and wait for the people that you don't have to explain yourself to. You know what I mean? Because those people will start to gravitate to you. And that's, when you really start to rise because you find your tribe and you elevate each other collectively.
Yeah. I feel like that can be very challenging, especially for women, because we love to fix people.
Oh, yeah.
We, yeah, we love to fix people. And so just allowing people that grace and allowing people to not necessarily infiltrate your life and just giving them that honor and then moving on, boy,
Yeah.
that can be hard.
It is. Listen, here's the deal. Like, if you're, uh, if you want to give someone some advice, just trickle out one little thing. If they don't embrace it through action, you're wasting your energy. You're giving away your life force. You know what I mean? You really are. You have to hold the energy for people that are ready to hear it because then that's how we expand. And the people that are expanding hold the light for everyone that's not there yet. You guys, it really is a conscious collective. We're like you see the balancing going on the planet right now. You can see the balancing of people that are becoming more conscious. The world is shifting. So I'm just saying, of course we want to help other people, but you cannot leak and give your energy away.
Yeah, and I will say it's been very interesting the past couple years, right? Like we are shifting as a human consciousness. We are shifting as a society and people are starting to open up and they're starting to get thirsty for more. And so one of the things that I've always found actually quite helpful, more I'm going to say mentally and emotionally, but I guess really on my nervous system too, is to allow myself to step back and pretend, I use air quotes, pretend, visualize that I'm hovering up above the entire situation or the person and just looking at the bird eye view of what's happening, what's going on, and just allowing myself to look without judgment,
Yeah.
to look without criticism, to
Mhm.
look without uh, my triggers or my wounds and
Yeah.
allow myself to just see what's going on and see, okay, I'm here, I'm in it, but I'm not really in it. And so,
Yeah.
how can I use that wisdom?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, yeah, that's why I live in Miami. I'm around it so much where I just am observing constantly. And you really do have to zoom out. And I don't really believe in telling people what to do. Even in my intimate relationships, everyone's like, oh, you need to tell him this. That is so not my vibe. I am not going to tell anybody anything. You rise up or you bow out of my life. That's just the way it is. And I am a firm believer you lead by example. If you want someone, let's say you're dating someone that parties too much, you don't tell him not to party. When he asks you to go out, you just lead by example. No, I want to go to bed early because I want to get up early and work out. Like you're constantly showing him your life, how you live your healthy life. And eventually it will inspire him or it won't. I really believe that we should live our life and try to inspire people instead of telling people what to do. Like just live a life that inspires and people will gravitate or they won't.
Which then does also shift the nervous system too. I mean,
Mhm.
that really impacts us on that foundational level. And so let's talk about the nervous system a little bit more because it is a word that's thrown around. It is, I mean, you can't go anywhere, Instagram, TikTok, all those places. Like there are videos everywhere of telling you how to balance out your nervous system. And sometimes I'm looking at them and I'm like, that's not going to really do much if XYZ is also in place, right? And so, Angela, do you have a myth or something that you have heard about the nervous system regulation, allowing the nervous system to heal that just drives you crazy, that you think people need to know and hear more about?
You know what? I'm not a big consumer of any information I don't seek out. I stand guard on the doorway of my mind because of all the fake stuff I hear. So I have to say, unfortunately, no, because I'm very intentional with the information that I research. There's nothing being fed to me that I'm not seeking. So I have to say, unfortunately,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Have you? Is there anything that sticks out for you? Just to give me an example.
Yeah. Let me think about that. So I think one
Yeah.
of, and this isn't necessarily a myth. This is more that I don't think that it works for everybody at all points in their moments, like all points in their life and wherever their body is in its healing process. One of the things that drives me kind of crazy is all of the influencers out there that are constantly talking about cold water plunges or like all of these excessive things to retrain the and get more tone in the vagus nerve and to retrain the nervous system. Yes, there has been research that that stuff has been helpful, but here's the reality. If you are at a place where your nervous system is so taxed, the last thing that you should be doing is cold plunging your body into an ice bath where it is going to completely throw you over the edge.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't know that they were saying that's a nervous system reset. Oh my God. I agree with you. Absolutely not. We are trying to soothe our bodies. I wouldn't want to do anything that's painful. Everything I do feels good.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's the easiest path. Follow what feels good. I've never done a cold plunge. No desire. It's
Yeah.
trend. I'm not a big trend person. Also, I'm just like a black sheep of everything. So if everyone's going that way, I'm definitely going that way. That's just something like conformity, not for me.
All right. So, okay. So let's talk about you being that black sheep and really needing your own path. What
Yeah.
did you find in when you were working on your nervous system, on your body? What did you find the hardest to rewire, especially because you have this mentality of like, I'm doing this my way and I'm doing this the way that I need it. Like, what did you find to be the hardest?
The hardest thing is just how hardwired we are. I have a great life. I still have an abandonment wound. Like I said, I have to speak to it every single day. And I'm like, Jesus, you're still there. Like, you know what I mean? If something doesn't go well in my love life, I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong? I'm like, are you kidding me? Have I not been training you? It's like, you know what I mean? You have to have a sense of humor about this too, you guys. A sense of humor will get you everywhere. Like, you have to find a way to just be like, oh my God, like, you got to be kidding me. So it's just, I mean, the hardest thing was how this has to become a lifestyle. There is no one and done because, like I say, life is moving fast. We're getting sucker punched weekly. You have to have a system in place. There's no done. I think that's the hardest thing. Like most people, I was like, oh, I'm good now. You're good until you're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're good. Here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize. They can heal one level, almost like a
Mhm.
video game, right? You heal one level, you get to the end, but now after you've gotten through that level, you go to level two. And
Yep.
guess what? You're right back at the beginning again.
Yep.
And now you are repeating pieces from level one. You are taking in new challenges and new obstacles based off of maybe a different trigger or an expansion on the trigger that you already got through in level one, but it just feels just as hard
Yeah.
because it feels like you're right back in the beginning and right back at step one again, when in reality you're not.
Yeah. In reality, you're not because you're a different version of yourself.
Yes.
That's the luxury is you're a little bit better. And every time you get through, like you say, the video game, that phase, you become a little bit better. And yeah, you may go back, but you're a little bit better. And it's like you're constantly better and better and better. But like I said, life is not about not feeling your emotions. Like I say, the reason why You want to have systems in place. The reason why you want to learn how to train your nervous system, learn how to bring yourself back to baseline is so that you can feel life to the fullest. So you can move towards that love story that might break your heart in 1,000 pieces, but it's going to be so worth it. You know what I mean? You want to be able to feel that passion, be able to feel that anxiety because it's full of so much data, you guys. Like, we're not supposed to be robots. We are emotional beings. And what makes life so beautiful is that we are like abstract art. It's not always beautiful, it's layered, there's depth, but if you have these tools in place, it allows you just to go all in on that love, go all in on that dream, go all in on that friendship or that risk, because even if you get punched in the face, you got this. You know how to bring yourself back to baseline. You're like, okay, and then you just really your life becomes way more adventurous. Like, we're not meant to stand still, you guys. Evolution, is imperative.
Yeah.
Survival of the fittest is the ones that know how to harness, transform their energy, redirect their thought patterns. Because you got those three, you got this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Oh,
we're all, you don't start, you start out as a beginner. You eventually get really good. I'm really good at it, you know what I mean? But like anything, you will get good at it. You just have to start.
and so let's talk about your process because your process is a little different. And so if somebody was working with you or you are working with a client in general,
Mhm.
how does your process differ? What do you do differently? How do you move people through these levels of their video game?
Yeah, exactly. So, like I say, the one thing I want people to immediately start doing is interrupt the pattern. That's step one. You could do that. You don't need anyone to teach you that. Start interrupting the pattern because that's the moment you're in control. The minute you feel the emotion, like I said, clap, no, I'm going this way. The minute you feel any emotion, make sure you interrupt the pattern. The minute you get stuck in a thought pattern, you have to interrupt the pattern, meaning we all do this. We're all guilty of this, right? We all rehearse rejection in our mind, right? We rehearse these arguments, Every time that loop completes itself, meaning you think that you told them that time. That time, yeah, I told them. You know what I mean? And you are done. And that's exactly what you're going to say. All you are doing, you guys, is you are holding the reality in place of someone that doesn't get what they want. And you continue living a life of defeat. You know what I mean? Because if you're rehearsing rejection, it means you're not getting what you want. So interrupting that thought loop is very, very important, you guys. You are holding that reality in place. So I just tell people on their own, start learning how to interrupt the patterns of your life. My particular method I created for me. Don't we all? We all want to figure out our own crazy. I figured what I wanted to do for myself was I knew I needed something to come to every hour because I was, someone that really struggled. So having one session wasn't enough. I was constantly spiraling, constantly ruminating, constantly dealing with catastrophication. So I knew I needed micro resets. So micro resets are something that you can do definitely morning and night, but I'll do them a couple times throughout the day. I mean, if you're really struggling, you could do them hourly. What my micro reset consists of is 2 minutes of a nervous system reset and 3 minutes of a self-concept training audio. The reason why these are back to back and the reason why they're so short, number one, they're so short because it allows you to stay focused. 5 minutes of pure focus carries way more vibrational weight than sitting for an hour where you're fading in and out of belief, in and out of calling bullshit on yourself, right? So 2 minutes of the nervous system reset because you have to release the gripping, right? You have to release the gripping. And then you immediately listen to the self concept training because you only have about 30 seconds to 3 minutes after your nervous system reset before your system locks back up, meaning locks back up into the old way of thinking, locks back up into the old way of feeling. So you have to immediately insert that information while the system's open for it to root and start doing what it needs to do. So that is why my system works the way it does. And like I said, again, everything's based on rhythmic patterns because rhythm signals safety. All of the self-concept audios are so they're rhythmic riddles because like I say, the mind seeks patterns. And anytime you have heard a rhythmic riddle in life. Like think of any nursery rhyme that's got stuck in your head. Have you ever noticed like when we're learning our ABCs, it was like A, B, C, D, there was a rhythm. There was a melodic rhythm. It's because the mind seeks patterns and it embraces that rhythm. So I was taking all of these things that I knew about life and why is that stuck in my head? Why is that dumb song stuck in my head? And then I realized, okay, there's a rhythm. So the riddle. And so all my affirmations are essentially rhythmic riddles. But I'm probably complicated. I'm probably confusing everybody. But I use very strategic wordplay to bypass the mind's defenses. Because if you're someone that's not feeling loved, struggling in love, and you say affirmations like, I am love, love surrounds me, I have so many options in love, what happens? That, your mind calls bullshit on you. You know what I mean? So the way I frame one of my particular audios about welcoming love is my heart is a mansion filled with many rooms that have yet to be explored. And then it says, my heart is a mansion, welcoming love once more. My heart is a mansion, embracing all that I deserve. My heart is a mansion, releasing what no longer serves. Because it's a riddle and you're moving, your mind doesn't reject the information and embraces the information. It's like, yeah, my heart's a mansion. Yeah, we're embracing love. Yeah, we're releasing that. There's no debate. So that's why everything I do is very strategic, melodic, rhythmic. I'm basically tricking your mind and body into believing what you're having a problem believing.
All right, I'm going to share something embarrassing, but
Please.
it goes in line with what you're saying, and it's
Yeah.
just it's kind of making me laugh over here. All right, so I've never danced professionally, but I enjoy dancing, even though sometimes I feel like I have zero rhythm. I enjoy dancing, and so and I've taken a few dance classes just for fun, right? But I enjoy hip hop dancing of all things, which for those who know me, like you wouldn't even think that I was into hip hop dancing. So anyway, there's I have, on DVD, I have some old school hip hop dance videos that I've done just that I have at the house, and like I literally just did them maybe a few weeks ago, and I was doing the dance, but here's what's super interesting.
Again.
In this,
Yeah.
we're going through it. We're dancing. I'm getting into it. I'm loving it. I'm having the best time. My body is moving into all of this rhythm, right? And what is the instructor doing? She is talking all of these beautiful affirmations. Oh my God, you look amazing. Look how beautiful you are. Like it's very old school, but just like very beautiful, like affirmational stuff. And I don't think that it was meant for that. But I will tell you something. I will tell you something, Angela. Every time I do it, the dancing, I mean, those videos, I feel so beautiful and sexy. I feel so confident in my body. I feel alive again. And I'm sure that a large part of that is because I'm doing something like that lights me up and makes me happy and I'm moving energy, but also the words that are coming out of this woman's mouth is magic.
Yeah.
And I find it so interesting that you said exactly what I've noticed. Well, I didn't notice until you said this, but that pairing and of why the response that I feel after I do that. So,
Exactly. And also like when your body and mind is in a state of play, it feels what? Safe. Everything goes back to safety. And so any information you want to embed is like that's the most powerful time to do it. That's why they say right before you go to sleep as well, because you're in theta, you're relaxed, you know what I mean? Your guard isn't up. So anytime you can be in a state of play, it's a very powerful time to do your affirmations. You know what I mean? Anything you want to remember, turn it into a riddle. You know what I mean? And it'll stick. It's very powerful and underestimated.
yeah, yeah. I like that tip. Whenever you are playing, and also embed play into your day, but whenever you're playing and you're doing something that feels open and expansive, bring those affirmations in. That is a great tip.
Yeah, my self-concept audios are meant to be done in front of the mirror, moving, dancing, and then like I'm sorry, but my audios are so good. I have a music background, so they're like really good. Um, I do them all day long. And like you say, you stay so high vibe. And that's the key, you guys. Even if you finish your session and then you go back and you kind of deplete back down to feeling not so great, it doesn't matter. That's why micro resets, like you circle it back again, maybe midday, and you're training your body what fun feels like, what feel good feels like. Because so many of us have forgot that love is fun, money is fun, life is fun, life feels good, life feels flowing. You really have to retrain that back into your body. Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, life is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
You know what I
Uh,
mean? Even if it's just little moments, you know what I mean? That eventually becomes the familiar path and you don't keep seeking to suffer.
how do people know that they're making progress? What have you seen, either maybe in your own life or with clients, but how do they know that things are shifting and that they're on the right track?
I've talked to a lot of my clients and they tell me the cutest little stories. It's a subtle shift. Like I say, any metaphysical work that you can't see exactly, you're like, how do I know it's working? You know it's working because you just start to think and feel differently about topics that used to trigger you. Love, for example. Let's say you're single and you're struggling in dating and you're sitting with the same girls that are bitching about there's no good guys, there's no this. All of a sudden, you don't really feel that way anymore. You actually feel hope. And you're like, well, and you actually might even interject, that's not true. I think this. It just slowly starts to take root and transform. That shitty thought that you used to naturally think is just gone missing to where you're actually like, where'd that go? Like, wait a minute. Who am I? You know what I mean? You're like, who said that? Who dat? You know what I mean? You just start to feel good. This girl sent me a message. It's so funny because she's doing my goddess self-concept. And the lyric is, I'm a goddess. I'm worthy of the absolute best. I accept nothing less than what honors my divinity. I'm a goddess. And she said she was at the coffee shop and this guy asked for her number and she's always feels bad not to give it. She's like, I usually always get it. But then all of a sudden I heard, I'm a goddess. I'm worthy of the absolute best. And she's like, and I didn't give it to him. And I was like, it's cute. I mean, it's little milestones, you guys, but it eventually really starts to transform the way you feel about yourself, and you really walk like the version of you that gets it all. And you're like, yeah, man, I deserve this. I deserve this. The more high vibe you feel, you also look at your worth in a different way. If you really I've started doing this recently and I was like, wow, because a lot of times we think that we're asking for too much or we don't deserve it, especially spiritual people, or we don't need it because that makes us greedy. I have literally embraced the fact that I stay so high vibe, regardless of what's thrown at me, is currency. And I deserve everything because I am raising the conscious collective of the planet. I am holding the light and waiting for people to join me. And that's not an easy task. You know what I mean? Like I absorb a lot so that nobody else has to. And I have finally convinced myself that that is currency and I deserve everything.
Yeah. Well, and it's
Whatever
all
you gotta
energy.
do, 1000%.
Yeah.
But really, what do you have to do to believe that you are worth it and you deserve it? That's my story that I'm like, oh my God. We all have to find our own story that will land, that will believe, and
Mm.
that's what the individual soul journey is. Like, what's yours? My story's not going to be yours, and vice versa. That's what's so beautiful about like our individual paths.
Yeah. And so everything you're talking about, you mentioned this in the very beginning, but everything you're talking about is so much about spiritual evolution and spiritual growth and really uh, um, aligning with that ascending of your soul, right? But I'll tell you, I mean, you're talking and I'm like, girl, you were born to be an alchemizer. You are alchemizing. You're an alchemist. That's what you are. And it just in the energetic fields.
Literally. I
Yeah.
have got to alchemize. Yeah. I mean, listen, like I said, that's a skill set. I didn't used to know how to alchemize. Now I know how to suck the lesson and suck the love out of everything. And when I say suck the love out of it, if a relationship ends, if a friendship ends, you guys, there was love, there's a lesson. That's all you need to focus on. I focus on the love. I focus on the lesson. I'm letting go. That's another audio I do. Sorry, I have all my audios in my head. They literally dance in my head. Like that's all your focus needs to be on. Focus on the love, focus on the lesson. Otherwise, you're going to hold yourself hostage.
Yeah. If for the listener who feels that they've done all of the healing but still feels stuck, what's your invitation for them today, Angela? What would you like to invite them for?
There is no done. guys. There is no done. Like, you're saying that does all the work and still feels stuck. I mean, like, I don't think you should be feeling stuck. It's just the
It,
next level. There's no stuck. It's just you've just hit another plateau, which means a bigger, better self is coming. Just keep doing the work. You have to give yourself the space and the patience to let the next lesson rise. And that's not always a painful lesson. Sometimes it's just a bigger, better you. You know what I mean? Something's shifting. Just look at the stuck state as your cocoon. You're in that cocoon stage. You're gonna, just hang tight, keep doing what you're doing, and wait for your wings. You know what I mean?
stuck state as the cocoon. I like that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Something's happening. Something is happening,
Yeah.
even if you can't see it or feel it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're doing the work. As long as you're doing the work, it's imperative.
Yeah. Well, Angela, this has been an amazing conversation and just just so many thoughts to chew on. You
Yeah.
put things into perspective of ways that I haven't heard other people or other things that I've read put them. And so I love this expansion energy and just really making it simple. It's so simple. And so I would love for people to get into your circle. Where can people find you? What are you excited about in your work right now?
I'm literally just excited about how people are gravitating to what I'm doing and learning that they are the healers. Like, really just taking my programs and doing them themselves and then responding back to me that, like, I can't even believe this is working. Like, I've done this, I've done therapy for years, I've done this. Like, how can it be this easy? And it's really, I think that's the hardest obstacle for people to get through. It could be this easy. It could feel good. It can actually be fun. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Like, you know what I mean? We fight to stay suffering. If you want to find me, so this is the deal. So I started demoing everything. I started doing really short form content, you guys, so you can literally see everything I'm talking about on my social handles, angelajean.chat. I do demos of the micro resets, the sessions, my audios. You can hear everything. But my programs all live at soulsyncsessions.com.
Right? And all of those links will be down in the show notes, like always. So jump on down there and get into Angela's world. As 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 we finish up today, do you have any last words that you'd like to lay on the hearts of the listeners?
I want to end with the same words I started as, guys. When one rises, we all rise. Be responsible for the energy that you bring into the world because it is a domino effect on every single person that crosses your path. If that is step one of what you do, is just be responsible for the energy that you bring into the world, that's amazing.
Mm. You are such a beautiful soul. Thank you so much for doing this work. Thank you so much for being here today. And thank you as you continue to guide people on their journey.
Thank you.